Patty Soldiers. I may look incredibly illuminated right now because I got 2 soft boxes for Christmas and I just set them up this morning and I am direly hoping that one of them doesn't explode while I'm filming because I think I put them together right. And I, like all of you, am trying to cope with that weird week in between Christmas and New Year's where like nothing exists or feels real. But I just shotgunned some leftover Christmas cookies and made myself a new tea, so I feel like I'm good. And before everybody asks, my dagger pendant is from Inner Wolf Jewelry. I've been wearing it non-stop for the last 2 weeks, so I will leave their Instagram handle down below. I decided I wanted to do a December wrap-up because I don't usually do December wrap-ups. They get lost in the sea of like best books of 2021, which I feel is quite a bold move for all these book talkers and book bloggers and booktubers to be making in like, you know, like December 7th came the best books of the year. And I'm like, we're just ignoring the fact that there could be some 5-star bangers coming up in December. I don't believe in that. I read one of my favorite books of the year in December, so, you know, don't go looking a Goodreads in the mouth. So next week's video will be my favorite books of 2021, but right now I want to do a video about all the books I read in December because I managed to somehow read 7 of them and I had some thoughts. I didn't read a single Christmassy book in December. I read about a lot of demonic power couples, some fairy tale retellings, and whatever the hell Kingdom of the Curse was. So without further ado, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's do a December reading wrap-up. First up, just to finish up and cap off my reread of The Raven Boys, I finished The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. I re-listen to the audiobooks of these every year. I don't know why. As soon as it gets cold, my brain just goes to like ancient Welsh kings and prophecies and Gansey's boat shoes. I don't know what it is about them. Have I read this series like 7 times? Yes. Did I cry outrageously in a grocery store listening to the end of Raven King? Again, also yes. I said this before, when I first got into this series, it took me a couple tries just because it was so weird, but I really recommend listening to the audiobook if that's something that you may like want to like it, because Will Patton is a king. It just feels extra magical when you have the soft, syrupy Virginia accent whispering in your ear about ley lines and fae folk, and I enjoyed myself again this year. And okay, let's acknowledge the sexy demon king in the room. Let's talk about Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco. This is a sequel to Kingdom of the Wicked, which was one of my favorite books of last year, where our main character Amelia is a witch who accidentally binds herself to a demon prince of hell in an attempt to figure out who murdered her sister. Once again, the fashion in this cannot be beat. Goddamn, hell has some real nice interior decorators, like literally fiends for the aesthetic. Do you think I can hire them? Do you think they have a discount code? Kingdom of the Wicked is a fairly steamy, older YA book. There's a lot more sex and sexuality in it, which is not a bad thing. And I've said many times before, I think that we need to reevaluate what we consider appropriate for teen audiences who like have the internet and know what kissing is. But this book felt like straight up erotica. I mean, technically it's a new adult because the characters are 18 and there was more sexuality in the first one, but that is not how this book is being marketed, and I think that's what I have the problem with. The sexy times fully overshadowed the plot line to the point where I forgot there was a plot line that was relevant to the first book in the first place. Like, full threads and characters are just fully dropped off or like very briefly mentioned in favor of the characters getting together under questionably consenting circumstances to have some hot and heavy scenes, which again by itself I'm not that mad at, but the fact is that I got advertised a very different book and a very different series than this was. I'm kind of wondering why the editors or the publishing house kind of like let her do that. I feel like something got Taylor Swift lost in translation. That is her, right? So I don't know if I'm gonna buy the third one. In fact, I don't think I'm going to. But next book is one I am definitely gonna buy the sequel to because I finished Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. This one was part of my Book of the Month sponsorship, so thank you, Harper, for sending this along. Ren is a half Reaper, half Shinigami soul collector living in 1890s England who decides to go to Japan to try and find her Japanese mother after she gets outcast from Reaper society. So we fall into Yomi, the Japanese afterlife full of demons and magic, and end up getting tasked by the goddess of death herself. And honestly, dream job. If this university thing doesn't work out, this is where I'm going next. I mean, given they don't have very inclusive workplace practices, but it's been a couple hundred years and like everybody dies, you think they'd be more equal opportunity employers. This book has BDE, where the D stands for death. This book is literally Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss. in the Japanese afterlife. We get twisty death magic and underwater demon battles and a protagonist that is not a good person. I had trouble connecting with the main character for a pretty long time, but she is extremely powerful and fiercely loyal. I really loved how dark this got. I feel like 2021 is the year of like the dark villainess, and I'm not mad about that at all. And then this next little guy is one that I just had on my shelf for so long and I kept slipping to the back because it's so teeny tiny. But we pulled it out for December's reading, and that is A Spindle Splinter by Alex E. Harrow, which was gifted to me by Tor, and even the author herself apologizes for titling it thusly. Look at that guy, he's so small. This took me an hour to finish, so if you are really looking for a quick read to boost that Goodreads goal before the year's end, this is one of them. This book has the cardinal sin of not having a blurb anywhere on the goddamn book. I don't care this is a feminist subversive retelling. I don't care that this is a delightful mashup. I don't care that this is one of the best books of the year. I want to know what the fucking book is about. So because of that, I went into this book not having a clue what I was getting myself into, and you know what? I was delightfully surprised. This is sassy, sarcastic, and modern, a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, where our main character is dying from this genetic disorder, and on her 21st birthday, when she is set to die, she pricks her finger on a splinter of wood and ends up being like Spider-Verse, enchanted, teleported into another Sleeping Beauty story. And in this fairy tale multiverse, we get a bunch of subversions of traditional trope fairy tale characters, and we actually have to break open the universe to grab a bunch of different Sleeping Beauties to help save our main character at the end. It was so fun, it was so quick, and it has these beautiful illustrations in it as well. We get some fun feminist fairy tale anecdotes and a sick Vine reference. And I was not expecting to cry from this. I think I'm gonna pass this along to one of my friends who really loves Sleeping Beauty, and that will be a nice New Year's present for her. Speaking of fairy tale retellings, we're gonna talk about one that I have feelings towards. I don't know what they are yet, but they're definitely there. My friend Emma convinced me to read Gilded by Marissa Mayer, which was sent to me by Fierce Reads. This is a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, and I was jazzed for that, let me tell you. It's a little bit lesser known. There is so much potential for twisty, dark fairy magic, and there's some dark gods mentioned in this, and I thought this was gonna be amazing. And then there was a goddamn pregnancy trope at the end, and I'm so mad at myself I didn't see it coming. Our weaver girl is Cyrilla, who at birth was blessed by the god of lies, and so has these gold and black pinwheel eyes that make everyone in the town distrust her. She is caught one night by the Errol King, who is the magical elf king who leads the wild hunt. And to escape, she tricks him into thinking that she can spin straw into gold. Obviously, she can't actually do it, but she gets some magical help from a mysterious boy in the palace that the Errol King cannot see. There's magical lore and gold and dreams and lies and stories. It does feel quite grand. I like how much it focused on the wildness of stories and how they can get out of control and change like beasts. I know you're not supposed to like the murderers or the tricksters or the liars, but god damn it, I can't help myself. They're just so charming. But I didn't connect with our main character until kind of near the end. I didn't really like the love interest, and I was definitely yelling at the main character just while reading it. Like, girl, do not fuck a ghost. I can't believe I have to say that. Random plot threads kept getting introduced, and not in a confusing way, just a more of a weirdly paced way. And this book did not have to be this long. I still don't know how I feel about this book, but if there's gonna be a baby in the second one, I don't think I'm gonna read the sequel. All right, this is actually lining up quite well because, again, like I did earlier, callback, this is a book after a book that I'm not gonna buy the sequel to. I am going to buy this sequel because this one was freaking bomb as hell, and that was Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This is a book I wanted to read by the end of the year because my friend on TikTok, JohnnyPixel7, loves this and keeps recommending it. So I was like, well, I gotta get my shit together and read this. Also, the cover is stunning. This is a Chinese fantasy inspired retelling of one of my favorite fairy tales, which is The Goose Girl, where our main character is a princess whose stepmother uses dark magic to turn her brothers into geese, or in this case cranes. She then gets exiled from the palace and needs to knit a net of nettles in order to capture her stepmother's magic and turn her brothers back, but she cannot speak the entire time that she's doing it or her brother's lives are forfeit. This was well-paced and action-packed without making me anxious, which truly is a feat unto itself. Like, this is a big book, but I felt like I zipped through it. It was a little long, but at the same time, it was really easy to read, and I felt like I just flew through. Geese, cranes, jokes. Here's hoping my puns will be better in 2022. Our main character is a little naive, but she's been a princess locked in the palace her whole life, so I'm willing to give her a bit of a pass. And our love interest, Khan, is one of my new favorite love interests. Oh my gosh, what a sweet baby boy. I know that he is, like, you know, he's the prince and wields a sword and whatever. No, he's my sweet cinnamon roll of a boy, and I love him. Plus, we got dragons. Who doesn't love some dragons? Plus, this book had a beautiful redemption arc. Just well done, Elizabeth Lim. This was, I know why Johnny likes you so much. This was beautiful. This was a delight. And lastly, we're gonna end this on a sequel. And oh wow, I think I cried the most over this book this month, and I absolutely love the fact that it just reached into my chest and ripped my heart out. I think you know which one it is. It's Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. Like, this book turned me into a masochist. The sequel to the 1920s Shanghai Romeo and Juliet inspired retelling, Our Violent Ends, really focuses on war and fighting family tradition, resistance, love, really fighting for what you believe in and making those sacrifices. So you can probably guess why I cried a lot at it. A couple weeks ago I watched a panel where she talked about writing this and how the first book does have a pandemic-inspired plotline to it, and this one was the one she was fully writing during the first big year of COVID. And so she said because we were in the middle of a real pandemic, she didn't want to put like an overshadowing pandemic twist on this book, and you can tell that she was writing that real fine line. For the sequel, she did manage to pull back on that a little bit and focused more on the interconnections and the war happening between the different gangsters, and then the war that's happening in Shanghai at this time, which was based on the Chinese massacre. And like, whew, like, it's not R.F. Kuang traumatic, but it's up there. Once again, our star-crossed lovers Roma and Juliet are at it again. They are two dramatic bitches, and I love both of them. Also, damn, Roma is salty in this one, and it's very fun to read. This did not end like I thought it was going to at all. She was trying to do a lot with this, and I think that she succeeded. Okay. That is that on that. Thank you all for sticking around for yet another year of wrap-ups. We're going into 2022, which is not real. That's a fake year. Who made that up? But I have my eye on so many new releases next year, so I am excited to see what this next year of publishing brings us. Hopefully more gay shit and demonic power couples. Like I said, next week's video will be my favorite books of 2021, and like, you might see one or two of these on that list as well, so you act surprised. Here's to going into another year fully illuminated and fully vaxxed up. Cheers. You know where to click to like the video, you know where to click to subscribe. I hope you guys are all having a nice day wherever you are, and I will see you all next week and next year. Bye!